Hello and hi. Let's carry on. Let's just roll the intro and we go from there. Cool. So today, the chapter I'm going to cover with you guys is chapter 5, which is on the official textbook. It's called Create, View, and Edit Text Files. And since in Red Hat Linux and all other Linuxes, to be honest, the text files are kind of the bread and butter, which means that when we want to make, I mean, I'm not going to say all of the changes, but most of the changes on the system, like change service behavior, for example, create users, create groups, so all that stuff like that. We will for the most part, touch some kind of text file for that, and that's why. Well, creating, editing, and what is called create, view, and edit text files. It's a very relevant skill to have. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a very relevant skill to have because it's kind of a bread and butter of a day-to-day system admin of a Linux box. So I will not go into too deep of a detail about this because, again, like I said in previous videos, things will just happen. I mean, the need for editing text files will just happen. So I will do this so often that I will use those moments to then deep dive more into the tools themselves. So, but at this point, let's just discuss some of the major ways to view, edit, and change contents of text files, and some text files as an example. So let's just start directly on the console. Let's start with something we already know. We have already seen on previous videos, which is the cat command or the cat command. So the cat command, if you check the main pages, those that we have also covered on previous videos. So if you check the main page for the cat utility, you'll see that the cat utility serves multiple purposes, but one of which that we're going to use for at least for the following seconds is to being able to check the contents of a text file without being destructive. Okay, so we will be able to actually check the contents of a text file, and doing this like this, it will be non-destructive. So let's, for example, check the etc passwd file. So you already know what the etc folder contains. So the etc folder contains, for the most part, config files. So not only, but let's use this as our baseline. So if you are looking for a configuration file for something, for a service application, whatever, if you look first on the etc folder, you're most likely to get lucky and find a file there. And the passwd file, it's a file we're going to explore on the next chapter, chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken, which is where we're going to learn how to manage users and groups. So the passwd file is going to be one of the main files we're going to explore. So going back to the cat utility, so you do the cat, for example, cat etc passwd, and you get checking the contents of a text file in a non-destructive manner. And since I'm using a regular user, I am not able to destroy the content of this file anyways. But even if I could, if I have the rights to do so, the cat command used like this will not create problems because it will not create it will not make changes to the contents of any file if used like this. Okay, so the cat it's one way to check the content of a text file in a non-destructive manner. We also saw the more utility. Okay, and you also have seen the less utility. So more and less, some people say that less is more, and well, it's a kind of a private joke, but we can use either one to check the content. Well, either of these three, cat more or less. I will strongly suggest you to experiment with all three, and you will find which one is the better for you. It's not a matter of which one is better or which one is worse. It's just a matter that all three work for us, and we'll just need to find the correct moment to use each one of them for our own profit and benefit. So I will use cat for the most part, not because it's something that cat is better than the others. It's just kind of an addiction of mine. cat was the first one I learned, so cat is going to be the one I will use the most, but no special reason, no technical reason, just because it's the one I prefer. You should check cat more and less, and you will then make your own choice about which one do you actually prefer to, and make your own choice for which one is your current and recurring tool to come back to. Okay, so that's also always a good thing to test. It's experiment with the tools and pick one that you prefer and stick with that one because it's going to be the one you will trust. Okay, so you know how I will show you another tool because it's kind of something, it's inevitable to get to that tool. But let me show you one way to change the contents of a text file. So I will get this possibility file a copy to myself. So I'm going to copy from its current location to my home folder. Okay, so on my home folder I'm here, and the file should be there. There he is. Okay, so now since it is in my own home folder, I can now tailor the contents. I can change the contents because it's on my home folder, and files that are copied here, I am entitled to change them. This is still the possibility file. This is still the system file, but it's a copy of it. So it's not in the etc folder. So now it's on my home folder. It kind of lost its meaning. So it's not a system file anymore. It's just a regular file because it's on my home folder. So like I said in previous videos, in Linux, everything is a file. So, but the file location actually matters. So the possibility file on the etc folder has a special meaning. It's a system file with relevance and a reason to exist. But now a copy of it that was on the etc folder now was created on the my home folder. The contents are the same, the file technically is the same, but since it's in a different location, it lost its meaning, and now it's just a regular text file. So let's say I want to change the contents of a text file. There are, let's say, two major ways to change the contents of a text file. Let me just create a copy of the copy, okay? You'll see why in a second. And now I will just change the contents of this text file. Let me just maximize the size of my window without going over it. Nice. So let's change the contents of this text file, okay? Without using a dedicated text editor. So let's check the contents first. You know what's within it, but let's check it anyways. So let's say I want to add something to this file. It can be, since this is a regular text file now, it can be anything. It will just not matter all that much. So without using a dedicated text editor, there's a way to use it, and I have used this before in these training videos. That is the redirect technique, which means that I'm going to use two symbols, this one and this one, the bigger than and double bigger than, and you will listen in a second. So if I go back to the echo utility, which is, it says hi, so echo will just put to the screen what I just typed, which is, it can have these use cases. But in this case, I'm going to do a bigger than to the file. Okay. What happened now is that the contents of the possibility file were overwritten by my redirection, because this symbol will destroy the destination file. So all the contents of the destination file are going to be substituted, replaced by the output of the echo command. Now you understand why I did the copy. But if I do the bigger than twice, this will add to the file but not destroy it. So all the file content words are still there, but I added a new content that is my message, hi, or whatever the case. Which means if I know well enough the contents of the file, I'll just copy this to save some time. And again, this file now it's on my home directory, which means that it's just a text file. It serves no special purpose except being a text file. So I'm not going to affect the performance of the server. I'm not going to inhibit its regular performance, its regular use case, because it's a regular file. It's a text file on my home folder. Even though it looks like a system file, which it does, it's on my home folder, so it's doing nothing except it looks like one important file. So if I want to add something that looks like the contents of the file, if I know what the contents of the file usually is, so I can just I can do this, and if you look, I kinda edited this file, adding new content. And usually in Linux, when I add content to a file, it is going to change the behavior of something, an application, a service, whatever the case. So in this case, I am adding a line that I know what a file usually contains. So this line would have an effect if this was an actual system file. In this case, it's not, because it's just a text file in my home folder. But in the next chapter, chapter 5 is kind of the last chapter in how to generally use a Linux box. Chapter 6 and beyond, it's when we actually make things to tick. So if I was making a change to the actual pastelbd, I could use this technique to add some contents to it. But be careful, because if you do a mistake, if you forget to add the second bigger than, you will completely destroy the contents of the text file and add only the thing that is new. So even though it's useful because it's fast, it's non-interactive, you just bam to the file and you're done. Just be extra careful when you do this, especially when using a user with privileges like the admin or the root user, because you may actually create problems, and you will not be able to see. It can affect the machine in a negative way. But this redirection can also be used not only to change the content of a text file, but also to change the contents of the output to the screen. For example, let me see if I can do this from memory. So if I do something like use the find utility, well, I think it's the first time we see the find utility in this video series. But the find utility, if I say nothing about the find utility, I'm pretty sure that you guys will just figure it out yourselves. What do you think the find utility does? Think about it a little bit. It finds. Yeah, it's kind of a search. So an easy way to use this, it's to, let's say, for example, where to find something and the criteria, like file name, and I'm going to call it FS tab. Okay, so in other words, I'm going to find on this folder a file with that has the name FS tab. I could search for file names, file sizes, permissions. Well, the find utility is very powerful. You can just man and check the details about it, because now you know how to use a man utility, and now you know that man exists. So you could just man the find utility, so you can actually check the story behind the find utility. But you can find by file name, file size, file extent, file permissions, many criteria, file owner, etc. So in here, I actually see that I have two types of information being thrown at me. This is considered a success because the student user was able to find the file here, and I can confirm that the file exists and its location. And this can be considered as errors. So I'm not able to, my student user is not being able to search within certain parts of the file system, which also makes sense. This can be considered clutter, visual clutter. So I could use similar technique that I used to redirect to a file to clean up a little bit the output. So let's say if I do this, number 2 represents the errors. It's called the standard error. Okay. And I can, for example, send this to a file, find errors. Okay. What happened here? It was the following. Now I'm seeing on the screen only the successes. The errors were redirected to a file. Okay. So it means that now for example, let's say I have run this command before. I know I will see some permission denied. That's something I know as a given. That's something I just know. So it means that I want to eliminate the errors because I know that I'm going to get them. but all this information, it will just create visual clutter. So I'll just clean up the output a little bit, and okay. I only see the successes, and the errors were sent to a file. So I don't see the errors, well, unless I see the content of the file. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive in a good way, you can do this by sending information to the dev null. Okay, this is going to send all. In this case, I pick the errors and send it to dev null. Like we saw in a previous video, the dev folder is where the files that represent devices are placed, and the null file represents kind of a void. It's kind of a black hole. So everything you send to the null, it's considered a void. It's nothing. So everything you send to there, it's going just to disappear. It's not going to be held in disk, memory, or whatever. It's just to be destroyed. I'm not going to say in the next second, but as soon as possible, the contents are just going to be completely destroyed. In this case, I'm saying all the errors that the find utility is generating, please send them to nowhere. So it's not getting saved in the file, nothing of that sort. It's just disappearing. It's getting rid of. So I get a clean find result. And the errors that I know I'm going to get, I don't care about them. I just don't want to see them and send them to somewhere that is not going to keep them. So this is very good for people like me who can get this strategy really fast and really easily. So if I get my output really clean, it will also help my way to interpret the output. So I just send all the errors to somewhere else. I can keep them on the file or just destroy them. So I can also do something like this. So notice the difference. If I do this, I don't see the successes. I just see the errors. Why? I'm redirecting the successes to a file. Okay, the file is called find errors, but it doesn't really matter the file name. This is redirecting the success, which means that I'm not seeing the successes anymore. I'm just seeing the errors because this is redirecting the successes. If I check the find errors file, you'll see that I have the success. So if I do the 2, I'm redirecting the errors. If I do the bigger than, I'm redirecting the successes. So this kind of, it may look dumb, but sometimes you want to look for the errors so you can troubleshoot something. So you say, oh, okay, all the success messages, I don't care because I know it's working. I just want to focus on the errors. So I will not see the successes. I'm just seeing the errors so I can troubleshoot my issue. Of course, the find utility is not the issue per se. You guys get that. But you kind of get the idea about, or behind all of this. Okay. Let me just check my notes because I just removed my notes from my screen and I don't want to forget nothing. So let's go here. La-di-da-di-da. So you can use multiple combinations of this. And again, I recommend you guys to experiment with this. Check the month pages and create your own toolkit. So you can create your own sceneries and create your own toolkits to make this work for your own benefit. Another thing you have checked out before on previous videos is the pipe. Well, the pipe allows us to get the output. Let's use a file we have here locally, since we have. So let's get the passwd 2. It's the pipe. So the output of the leftmost of the pipe, it's the output it's getting. It's going to be sent as an input to the right one. So as you can see, the output of the cat file, it kind of fills the screen. So, but if I can send it to the more, for example, it will just be managed by more or by less. So the output of the command of the left-hand side of the pipe is going to be sent as an input to the command of the right-hand side. Another very common use case for this is to use the grep utility. So the grep utility, I like to call it, it's a mess cleaner. So the grep utility allows us to get an output of a text file, especially text files, which are usually messy and very confusing. and you can be able to filter out information that we get from certain files. So for example, let me see if I can find the student user on this file. And I have two students, the student and the student 2. Perfect. So the grep utility, again, I will not go into deep detail right now about the grep utility. I advise you to get the man page and explore it yourself. But the grep utility allows you to find text patterns on a text file, which can be quite useful. So the grep utility is using and uses a thing we call regular expressions, and regular expressions are not a Linux thing. They are just a thing that is used in Linux, Cisco, programming languages, etc. So regular expressions are a way to find text on a chaos. Okay, so let's say I want to find using grep. I can use I don't know what it's called in English, but you guys know what I mean. Or I can just use the commas. Okay, I can find the exact expression, but also can do the -v, which is -v is the inversion, everything that is not. Okay, and you can use also the -i. -i can be very useful. I is case insensitive. As you can see, I type lowercase student, uppercase student, and he finds both. But if I remove the -i, now it does not find it because student is typed in lowercase. See? So -i can be helpful if you are still trying to fiddle with the file. You're not sure how the file is typed. If you're looking for an uppercase stuff, if you're looking for lowercase stuff. Of course, if you use the casing, the correct case, it's going to make your searches more accurate. Yes, but if you are still looking for something that you don't know exactly what you're looking for, it's nice to use the case insensitive part. So cat or experiment with cat until you find the better use case for the cat for yourself. But it's very useful, and I will use it throughout the video series many times, and you'll see me using it in other contexts other than just dumping to the screen everything that I know about cat and grep, which makes little sense at this point. Okay. Now, going back to this, let me find, I don't know, maybe not the find. Let's use the echo again. Okay. Or no, let's go to the find. I think the find is also a good example here. But let's find an example that is of the simple sort. Okay, this one here. So this is cool, but the thing is, or when I just filter out the successes, this is cool. But for example, if I do this, then the successors are on the file, but I don't see it on the screen. So this is kind of a thing that can happen. So yes, I have filtered out the successes. Okay. But now, I don't see it, which is kind of the intention. But this is a very aggressive redirection. So this is kind of, you have to choose. Either see it on the screen or send it to a file. You don't get to have both. So if you send it to the file, you don't see it on the screen. If you see it on the screen, you don't send it to the file. So it's kind of you have to pick. Well, it's kind of you give away something to get something else back, unless using a utility called T. So for example, let's do something like, for example, let's do this in several parts. So let's do ls -l. This is no surprises for you. If you do this, I see nothing. See what I mean by the compromise? I either see it and not send to a file, or send to a file and not see it. If you want to have the best of both worlds, what you can do is you do the pipe T, you say ls out T. What happened now is I'm seeing it on the screen, but I also created the file. See? So T, it's a literal T. It's a cross, which means that the input comes from the bottom part and gets duplicated. So let me just do a quick and dirty drawing. So if this means that this means T, It means that I send input here and it gets duplicated. That's why it's called T, because it's a T. Nice joke, right? But the main thing is, if you do it like this, okay, this is going to send to the screen and a copy to a file. So you get the best of both worlds. You see it on the screen, and you are also sending it to the text file. So no compromises here. You get the best of both worlds. You get it to the screen, and you also get it on the file. So again, just fiddle around with the T utility. I will use it more often. I will use it more in the rest of the video series, and I prefer to use it on the correct context and less, instead of just dumping it to the screen for guys just to absorb. I will use it more times. I will use it in other times, and you will see me using it in the correct context. Now, last but not least, in this chapter 5, I believe, yeah, chapter 5, which is create, view, and edit the text files. It's kind of talking about the elephant in the room, which is that what are the text-based text editors. There are several text editors. You have the VI, you have the VIM, you have the Pico, you have the Nano, you have the Emacs, etc. Okay, all of them are fine. I'm going to use the V and the VIM because it's what's included in official training, and it's also the one I use the most often. So again, I'm not saying which one is better, which one is worse, because that's the conversation. I think it's just a waste of time. You just pick the one you like to use and use that one. I like to use VI or VIM just because they are kind of historically the big ones. And usually the VI or the VIM, one or the other or both, are usually available on most situations on the Linux box, including troubleshooting of stuff on the boot, troubleshooting of services. Troubleshooting environments will always have a VI or VIM of some sort. Pico and MX probably not. And also the VI and VIM are used all across the board in many Linuxes and Unixes. So if you know VIM, or VI, you kind of are at home in most situations, if not all situations. The one that was originally created for Linux and other Unixes was Emacs, but Emacs was replaced by VI by a very stupid reason by today's standards, which is VI was smaller by a few bytes. So again, saving some bytes was big 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So that was the main reason why Emacs got replaced by VIM. Nothing technical. Well, this space is technical, of course, but nothing too special. Just to save a few bytes, and that's why VI became the de facto standard nowadays. So from here to our end, throughout the video series, I will use VI and VIM, not Pico, not Emacs. But if you already have a workflow of your own where you use Pico, Nano, Emacs, or any other, I mean, if you had success until now, keep using it, but keep an eye out for VI or VIM. Once again, I am not going to go into too big of a detail about VI or VIM at this point, because I will use VI and VIM throughout this video series. So I will use it in its proper time, which means that I will not have to force anything down your guys' throats. You will just see me using it normally, and you pick up from there. So what is the difference from VI and VIM? Well, it depends on how you see it. There are similar tools. If you know how to use one, you know how to use the other. If you are like a regular user, you are kind of motivated to use, well, in this case, it's not created, but in some Red Hat boxes, they have an alias that means VI equals VIM. So you're kind of encouraged to use VIM. Let's see what happens when I use VI here. Let's use the possibility too. So this is VI, nothing great, nothing special. And I use VIM. They are basically the same tool, okay? VIM has some graphical enhancements, some enhancements on certain tools. But for the most part, what I'm going to use here, you can use both and it's the same thing. However, if I VIM the actual text file on the etc folder, you will see that the difference, an obvious difference. So if I use VI, it's basically the VIM. Like I said, in modern systems, you are encouraged to use VIM, not VI. No special reason, just yes. Now, if I check, if I let me remove these two files here, okay, and let me make a fresh copy from the original file from the TC folder to where I am right now. Okay, so the dot means current folder. So basically, I'm copying this file to my current folder. My current folder is my home folder. So in other words, I'm copying from here to my home folder. Quite nice. So if I do VIM to the file on my current folder, you see no colors. But if I check the VIM with VIM on its default location on the TC folder, you will see colors. So this is VIM being VIM. Okay, he knows that the possibility file on the TC folder is a special system file, but the possibility file, even though it has the same exact contents, but it's on the home folder, it's just a regular text file, like I said a few minutes ago. So no colors because it's just a regular text file. Colors because it's a system file. Okay, quite nice. And the colors can be quite handy if you are like me, a little bit distracted, and because I'm not going to be able to save the file, but if I delete this, well, this is not going to be very obvious because the possibility file it's very specific, but you will see other examples as we go on. Those color codings are useful for you to know, hey, look, wait, this was green, now it's black. Why? So it kind of makes your brain tick. Let's try a different one. Maybe I get luckier. Let's try, like I get the warning. I cannot change this file because I have no rights to do so. As you can see, swap, now it's yellow. So it looks weird to my eye because yellow, it's not very, or red. So it's VIM telling you, okay, this SP it's nothing, default it's nothing, NNE it's nothing. So be careful because these words mean nothing on this file. So VIM has some sort of knowledge of system files and their contents, and it's going to color code them so I can try at least be alerted to something that could be wrong on this file. But the possibility file on the etc folder, it's just a regular file, like I said. So I can just use VI or VIM to edit this file. And since this is in my home folder, I am entitled to change it because it's on my home folder. Now, how do I use this? Well, again, this is the short version because I'm not going to go in much detail right now because I am going to use VIM more often. So if you want to edit an existing file, well, it's just VIM and the file itself. I think it's not surprising. If you want to create a new file, just create a file name. It's a new file. Pretty nice. Now, to start to add contents, you just press the I key to insert. Anyone inserting. Pretty simple. Now, let's say you want to exit VIM without saving. You don't want to save the contents of the file. What you do is escape. It's going to put you in command mode. If you are a proper system admin, you just hit escape multiple times because once it's not enough. Then you type a column and you type the Q command, lowercase q. The Q command it means quit. And it's going to say, you did not save before quitting. I know, but I want to exit anyways. So I want to exit without saving. So the exclamation mark is kind of the one I'll do it and shut up. Quit. I know I haven't saved, but get me out of there. Okay. So it means that the file was not saved. Insert, blah, 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 escape, column, quit. I know, column, and I quit. If I do want to save, I do the escape column and I use the double key. This will write. Done. Then I can do a combination with this double Q. This is write and quit. Or if I am lazy, because I can just use the lowercase x. This will do the same as write and quit. Pretty simple. Now, if I edit a file that exists, as you can see, It's the same thing, but I'm editing a file that already exists. But the logic applies the same. To make changes, I need to have the proper rights to do so. So a regular user can change files on its own home folder. So I'm good to go. If I was unable to save this file, I will just get the red warning in the bottom saying, no way, Jose, you cannot save this file in a shape or form. Now, if you look here, you'll see indication of the column and the line. So I'm on line 12, 9, blah, 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 and then column 6, 7, 8. So this is going to show me the line and the column of the file where I am at right now. Line, column, line, column, okay? Which means that, let's say I want to go to line 10. Fine. I can hit the escape key multiple times. Well, once it's enough. I'm just joking. You do a column and you type the line number. So let's go to line 16. There we go. I am on line 16. Column, line 10. I'm on line 10. Cool. Now, I want to make my changes. Well, I hit the I key and I just need to behave like a regular text file. Pretty simple. Now, I want to undo. Important. So I hit the escape key and I hit the U to undo. Undo. Pretty nice. Undo. Okay. So let's open this and let's say I want to copy the operator line. This line here, line 10. What do? Escape key. And I hit the Y key twice. Y for yanking. I'm yanking the line. And if I hit the P key, it will paste. Pretty nice. Undo. Pretty cool. Now let's say I don't want to copy, but I want to cut. So there are two ways to cut. This is my preferred method. Escape. You hit the D for delete, the D key twice. Oops, I just fat fingered. DD. Undo. Or do 4DD. This still is 4 lines. Undo. The other way is to use the C for cut. So, sorry, C is cut and copy. So Y yanking is copying, C is cutting. So if I hit the CC, I have cut. And now I'm already in insert mode, ready to put something in its place. Undo. So CC cuts, opens the line, puts me in insert mode. Escape, undo. So both operations, or well, 3 operations to be honest. The yanking, the cutting, and the DDing, Y, C, and D, they all copy to the clipboard. So it means that if I do CC, I can do escape P and it pastes. Okay? CC, escape P, and it pastes. See? Or if I do DD, oops, sorry. If I do DD, I can then escape P to paste. Even though it deletes, it puts it on the clipboard. Pretty nice. Just the last tips I'm going to give you for now are, if you hit the insert key, it's going to put you in insert mode in the beginning of the line. If you hit escape A, it will put you in insert mode in the end of the line for append. Shift A is going to put you in the end of the line so you can start inputting text. Shift A. Okay. Sorry. If you hit the O key to open will open a new line and you are ready to insert. Or you can do Shift O and we'll create a new line, but on the top, or not on the top, above the line you had selected. So I'm on the games. Shift O over it. O under it. Okay. Insert in the beginning. Shift A, append the end. So many ways to get new information to the file. I advise you to view this video again just to get all the details and review it as many times you wish. Like and subscribe, it helps, of course. So let's save it. So escape, right and quit, save. Or without saving. Okay? So much to learn. Watch the video again so you are completely within all the details. We will use these tools all over and over and over again on our future videos. The next video is going to be about creating users and groups, and it's going to be a perfect example of that. So view this video again, review the piping, the redirection, the VI and VIM. We will use these tools again in the future videos. But it's a good skill to have before you actually go and watch those, because I will not explain anything much further about VIM. I will just use it and you will learn like that. So, like and subscribe, it really helps. Please do like and subscribe, it really helps to get the videos out, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.